after 2024, after successfully talking his way out of a gardening leave. And I think we're going to have to do a bit of speculation here, because where could he actually go? Could he be off to retirement? Could he join Williams and buy them out along with Christian Horner and take Max Verstappen with them? Or could he, as many have speculated, finally join Ferrari and help Lewis Hamilton win World Championship number 8? Of course, since 1990, there has only been 5 drivers not to win a World Championship with Ross Brawn or Adrian Newey. And those names are Ayrton Senna, Fernando Alonso, Kimi Raikkonen, Lewis Hamilton, and Nico Rosberg. And you want to know who Adrian Newey's manager is? Oh yeah, it's that smooth-talking Irish fellow who used to be the team principal of a team painted in yellow, the one and only Mr. Eddie Jordan. Damn, F1 is such a small world, isn't it? Absolutely crazy. Of course, there are talks that Adrian Newey has just simply had enough at Red Bull, that apparently he might be angry with Christian Horner due to the allegations. He could be bemused at something he has seen in the Red Bull engine department, with, of course, them doing a deal with Ford from 2026 onwards. And, or alternatively, he could be off to design yachts for the America Cup. I mean, it's all speculation, but I mean, Lewis Hamilton, as we all know, would love to drive for Ferrari. And Adrian Newey has never worked for Ferrari. And, you know, with 2026 being a major resetting of regulations. And yes, good day to you, Mr. Silverback orangutan. It's actually late afternoon here where I live in Britain, but I know the news was announced now about 2 days ago about Adrian Newey leaving. Of course, Eddie Jordan being confirmed is the guy who helped him negotiate his way out of Red Bull. I mean, this has got huge consequences. I mean, Max Verstappen, what is going to happen to him? I don't know when he's going to stay at Red Bull. I mean, of course, he can't go to Ferrari because of Leclerc and Hamilton being there. I mean, Lewis Hamilton, I will say, my God, this could be his final chance of glory if Adrian Newey comes to Ferrari and helps him out. And of course, he's got to also beat Charles Leclerc if he wants to win an 8th World Championship. And then, of course, Carlos Sainz, I mean, there were talks that Carlos Sainz wanted to come and go to Red Bull, but now that Adrian Newey's left, he really has now got a serious dilemma on his hands because, I mean, his seat is being given away to Lewis Hamilton, and as for, I don't know, it really is up in the air. I mean, of course, I think and what was I thinking of? Yes, now potential driver moves. Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz. This is what I thought was going to happen. Newey goes to Ferrari. Max and Charles team at Ferrari. Yeah, I think you forgot that Lewis has got a contract with Ferrari, though. Maybe 2027? Who knows? But yeah, I mean, Max Verstappen, I mean, we all heard about his dad lashing out at Christian Horner a couple of months ago over the allegations saying that Christian should resign. I mean, now, obviously next year, Red Bull probably will continue to have the best car due to the fact it will be an Adrian Newey designed car, and it will be the last year of these current regulations. But the thing is, though, obviously Max Verstappen will be concerned about 2026 and what the car will be like without Adrian Newey's input. And it has to be said that Adrian Newey he's not a hands-on type of technical designer. He does draw up the blueprint for what the car is like, and his input has been absolutely fundamental. Without Adrian Newey in Formula One, the likes of Damon Hill, Jack Villeneuve, Mika Hakkinen, Sebastian Vettel, and I think Nigel Mansell would have probably never won a single world championship. That is how fundamental he has been to so many drivers' career. He is a kingmaker. That is what Adrian Newey is. I mean, so yeah, understandably, I mean, there's been talks that Max Verstappen is most likely going to go to Mercedes, but right, Hamilton loses his seat if Max says he wants to drive for Ferrari. That is going to be very expensive if Max turns up on knocks his knuckles on the Ferrari's door, because Ferrari are going to have to pay a huge compensation package to Lewis Hamilton, who of course has already announced that he's going to depart from Mercedes at the end of this year. I mean, that will literally leave Lewis Hamilton in a situation where he might be forced to announce his retirement. And I mean, of course, I know some people would be happy if Lewis just disappeared from Formula One altogether. But the thing is, though, like, if Mercedes do manage to find a replacement for Lewis Hamilton in the next few months, and then Max decides to knock on the door and take Lewis Hamilton's seat, let's just say, we're going to see some real serious legal court battles going on if something like that happens, where Max Verstappen literally steals Hamilton's seat. I mean, it's not him stealing Hamilton's seat literally, but more that Ferrari decide to change their mind and decide to tell Lewis Hamilton that they're not interested in him anymore. And I mean, it could well be a situation where Hamilton doesn't even have a seat for 2025 and he's pretty much done. I mean, yes, I know from Hamilton's performances earlier on this season, he's not been driving very well. He's been getting outpaced by Russell, and I have to say, there have been cynics that have been saying that Hamilton's move to Ferrari is something of a cash grab because now he is nearly 40 years old and he's probably never going to be like the same driver again, nor will he ever get a chance to like earn loads of money because, of course, Mercedes literally told him to shut up when he begged them for an ambassadorial role. I mean, as for Carlos Sainz, I mean, this is really tough because I think Audi said recently that they're not going to wait for Carlos Sainz to make a decision on whether he wants to actually join Red Bull in the next few months, and that he's got to make his mind up ASAP. So Carlos Sainz has got a lot more options on the table, but it really does seem like he really doesn't know what to do, and I don't blame him because he's got Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, Aston Martin, and Audi to choose from, and I have to say, I am really not sure, but if I was Carlos Sainz, considering he's 30 years old, I would go and pick Red Bull because that is his best chance of actually becoming a world champion. Because as for Aston Martin and Mercedes, you can't be sure. They're not quite there yet. And as for Audi, Sauber are just at the back of the grid, and who knows where they'll be in 2026. I mean, I'm trying to think what's my next topic. What next? Yeah, the Sauber brothers, yeah, the Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. Pretty safe to say those two, or I really don't think. I mean, with news that of course Adrian Newey is leaving Red Bull, and with of course Carlos Sainz making up his decision about trying to make up his mind about where he's going to go for 2025. I mean, those two drivers are surely out of the sport, to be honest. And of course, Sauber, or Audi, should I say, also have a reserve driver academy of Zane Maloney and Theo Porcher on their test driver bench. And it really is time is up for both Bottas and Zhou, because Zhou has shown very little progress in his 2.5 years in Formula One. He he's still getting outpaced by Bottas, and we have to remember Bottas isn't really hungry like he used to be. So really, there is no real benchmark of how well both Bottas and Zhou are doing at Sauber anymore. I mean, I know, yeah, the Chinese Grand Prix rolled out the red carpet for Zhou with that gold-plated stop board, even though he finished somewhere like, I don't know, 15th place, just to mark the fact that he's the first ever Chinese driver to drive a Chinese Grand Prix. But, I mean, it just felt like a massive participation trophy ceremony, I'm afraid to say. I mean, as for Bottas, I mean, is he really bothered if he leaves Formula One? I mean, he's been there for 12 years. He's won 10 races. He's picked up 20 pole positions. He's finished runner-up twice. I just don't see Bottas being desperate to hang on to a seat in Formula One. He's earned his millions. I mean, he's pretty much accomplished everything he's ever wanted. Joke's on you. You will stay in Formula One as long as... Oh, Zhou will stay in Formula One as long as the money is... pays the money as needed. Yeah, but I did say that Sauber/Audi do have two reserve drivers in Zayn Maloney and Théo Pourchaire, which of course they've spent a fair amount of money on. I mean, how long can Zhou get away with performing as badly as he's done? I mean, he's not in a situation where his dad owns the team, like of course Lance Stroll dad does with Aston Martin. I mean, in his first year, Zhou only scored 6 points, whilst Bottas scored something like 49 points. And then he scored 6 points again last year, even though, of course, I mean, Bottas' points total dropped to 10. But, you know, I mean, you got to realise Audi are going to be taking over in 2026, so they don't necessarily need Zhou's money anymore. If you really think about it, it's not essential like it has been with Sauber, due to the fact Sauber obviously are not a factory team. I mean, and to be honest, you also have to realise that Zhou's sponsors in China might decide that he's not worth the money nor the investment, because if he doesn't improve his performances, they will most likely pull the plug on funding him eventually. Like, it can't go on forever. He is not Lance Stroll. Like, they're not his dad. That's all I'm saying. I mean, to be honest, you have to realise in 6 years of racing in Formula 2 and Formula 3, I think Zhou only won about 7 races in both series combined, and his best result was finishing third in the 2021 Formula 2 Championship, so it's not like Zhou has really done anything special in his junior career at all. I mean, I've even said things like, I believe that Yi Fei might be a better driver than him, but of course Yi Fei never had the same sponsorship money, and now he's out there in European sports cars driving for Porsche or some LMP2 team. So, you know, I don't know what went on there with Yi Fei, but I don't really know what else to say. It's just that obviously with Carlos Sainz snooping around for a drive, it makes Zhou and Bottas's positions a lot more precarious. I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying that Formula One moves on very rapidly. Now, of course, on to the next piece of news. Yeah, Esteban Ocon and Alex Albon. Now, I know there isn't anything to talk about with these two drivers. There are no rumours that these two drivers could be moving on to anywhere else, but at the start of this season, Esteban Ocon said that he would be interested in Mercedes driving if a seat was available, which is kind of coincidence because, of course, that was around the time when Lewis Hamilton announced his departure from Mercedes. Now, yes, he's had a decent start to the season, despite Alpine's car being absolutely terrible, and he's been looking very happy. Bottas might stay. I'm not sure about that. But, of course, Esteban Ocon, I mean, it really does depend on what Gasly does, to be honest, in terms of whether Ocon stays, because, I mean, if Gasly stays, maybe Alpine will be willing to let Ocon go, because at least Alpine keep one of their experienced drivers around for next year. But if Gasly leaves to Williams, like some rumours are saying, then Ocon might then Alpine might well feel obliged to give Ocon a big fat 4-year extension to his contract. Because of course, I think on their reserve driver bench, they've got Jack Dowan and the French kid named Victor Martins. And of course, yes, I mean, I'm just saying, say Rigora. I mean, if I can't see Audi fielding a team of a 38-year-old Nico Hulkenberg and a 36-year-old Valtteri Bottas. That doesn't really make any sense for their future at all. So, yeah, I mean, look, Bottas, I don't think is really going to try and fight for his drive. As for, of course, Alex Albon, poor start to the season at Williams, but then, of course, Williams haven't exactly helped him either due to how poor the car is and the fact he made a couple of mistakes himself, and the fact that Williams can't even be bothered to build a reserve car, which is just sums Williams up in general. Of course, with all the seats becoming available and all the musical chairs going around with not only the drivers, but also designers like Adrian Newey. I mean, Alex Albon himself might be keen on leaving Williams and joining maybe someone like Mercedes and Aston Martin if they give him a call. Now, of course, I know a lot of people talked about how Lance Stroll is basically locked in at Aston Martin, but if Lance Stroll carries on driving the way he does, I mean, surely there's got to be a seat being made available at Aston Martin, along with, of course, Fernando Alonso, who, as you know, has signed a 2-year extension until 2026. And with Honda coming in at 2026 Aston Martin, I mean, surely Alex Albon, along with, of course, Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, have got to be a shout for potentially replacing Lance Stroll, since, I mean, Lance Stroll's dad is got to, like, really try and convince the shareholders at Aston Martin that his son is worth a seat. But the thing is, though, if his son carries on performing as badly as he does, those shareholders will put a lot of pressure on Lawrence, and eventually Daddy Stroll will have to make a huge decision. It's going to be a decision he will not enjoy making, and that could well be telling his son to leave Formula One altogether, since, of course, no other team in Formula One is going to want Lance Stroll unless he pays them a huge sum of money to drive for them. I mean, as for Bottas, I mean, yeah, I know, of course, I did say Zhou is probably going to leave, since, of course, he's only going to get 3 years like Giovinazzi. Stroll will move to a different race team at Aston Martin. So does that mean that, so you're saying Lance Stroll could well be going to the Aston Martin sports car team? Okay, I think that makes sense. But now, say Rigora says that Hulk and Bottas wouldn't make sense, but you'd take Bottas over Porsche. Sauber have spent a lot of money on Porsche's development. That's what I'm saying. Like, they want to return on their investment. Like, even though Porsche might not be that good, but they have spent a lot of money on Porsche, and they would like to see something in return. Either him or Malone. Oh yeah, and the final piece of news, because of course it is indeed the Miami Grand Prix, it is to talk about the one and only Andretti Cadillac team, who, of course, I think recently actually built a Formula One car to prove how serious they are about entering Formula One. But news has emerged that the US government has filed a lawsuit against why Andretti Cadillac's application to join Formula One was rejected to Liberty Media. Things could be getting very spicy now. Spicy in the sense that we could be seeing a real major court case now, because, of course, this is supposed to be the FIA Formula One World Championship. And yet all the 10 teams we have are all based in Europe. Now, I know Haas counted as an American registered team, but of course their factory bases are placed in Oxfordshire, in Banbury in England, and of course some place in Italy. I don't know where, but of course they have a second factory base in Italy because of course they have their cars designed by Dilara. Maybe Sainz could end up at Audi, but I think he goes to Red Bull for some reason. Yeah, he'll be going there to get a race-winning car. That's it. It's that simple. But as for Andretti Cadillac, yeah, I can't believe the FIA rejected their application. Absolute nonsense reasons. Makes no sense. I mean, we got Sauber branding themselves as the Kick Sauber F1 state team. And then, of course, we've got that joke team that used to be called Minardi / Toro Rosso / AlphaTauri. And now they call themselves the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls team, or as many would like to call them, V-Corp, who have Yuki Tsunoda and alongside him some rather clownish Australian bloke who likes to smile all the time, even if there's absolutely nothing to smile about whatsoever. You know his name, but I'm sorry, we've already got 10 teams on the grid, and the way things are going, I mean, you don't know where Haas could be, where Haas could be in the next few years. You don't know whether Williams could be out of pocket in the next few years. You don't know what V Corp could be calling themselves in the next few years, even though technically on the FIA entry sheet they call themselves RB. Why not let Andretti have a place on the grid? I mean, obviously, yes, I know it's obviously because a lot of teams are they want to guarantee their share of the prize money and TV rights, but some of these backmarkers teams we've seen, especially in 2024, have not really been performing as well as they should be. Williams, Alpine, Sauber need to do a better job. The great, I mean, and with the the budget cap, I mean, surely you don't the teams don't need to rely on the prize money to stay afloat in F1 like they used to anymore. There's more the budget cap really seriously restricts the team in the front from overspending. So surely the teams at the back should be able to keep up. But of course, as we all know, this is Formula One. The teams are already out for themselves. It's a really sad situation. It really does annoy me, when this whole situation around Audi, the Audi brand is the Andretti brand is massive. Mario was an F1 World Champion in 1978, a multiple IndyCar champion, an Indy 500 champion. His son Michael / the team owner Michael Andretti won the 1991 IndyCar Championship and raced for McLaren back in 1993. I mean, and of course, he won 41 races in IndyCar racing, and of course, his own son Marco even raced in IndyCar for a while. Andretti have got motor racing heritage. Don't kick out a team for a first year that will not do it. Okay, I'm now going to go and answer your questions because I'm beginning to run out of breath, but okay, sorry, Silverback. Don't kick a team out for a first-year team that will not do that well. Let another team in. With so many minor teams, the factory teams, we need another American team. Yeah, I agree. But look, I'm not talking about kicking out teams in particular. What I mean is that I'm talking about the current teams, freezing out Michael Andretti's team because they want to keep holding their prize money, because the prize money only goes to the top 10 teams in Formula One. That's what I meant. If I did not make that clear, I apologize if I've been waffling a bit too long. I think this is the reason why Andretti can't get a spot in the grid, because if they were to join the grid, it would bloat up to 11 teams. And of course, only 10 teams are eligible to win prize money, depending on them finishing in the top 10 in the constructor standings. And you have to realise, of course, I think even if you join Formula One, like you're not eligible for prize money in your first 3 years of competing in Formula One, I think. Marco is terrible, yeah, absolutely agreed. I think, was it 2 wins in about 15 years of racing in IndyCar? That's just really poor. And I mean, he looked like a decent talent, but then he dropped off so heavily after like 2011. He won his second race, and then he never won another race again, which is, considering the level of machinery his dad gave him, that is really poor. Like, I don't understand how you can drop off so badly. And I mean, he even tested a Honda Formula One car during 2007. And yet, for him to struggle like he's done, despite all the opportunities his dad has given him, as well as his granddad, it's just very disappointing. And yeah, well, I think Marco Andretti these days is now only a part-time driver in IndyCar, because of course I think after 2021 he dropped out of the top 20 drivers, and his dad turned around and said, "You're gonna have to pay for your own seat now because you really are not good enough anymore," which I think is absolutely what someone like Papa Stroll should do to Lance Stroll, to be honest. Wouldn't be surprised if Williams only raced one car again. Yeah, I mean, Williams really are taking the absolute biscuit with the way they're running their team. Backup driver in Indy, his dad is basically making him pay to be there. Yeah, I've already said that pretty much. Yeah, I mean, but then again, we have to realise Marco Andretti is now, how old is he? 37? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's way past it now. Well, mind you, Lance Stroll is only 25 years old, but Lance Stroll has been in Formula One for about 7 years now. 7 years. That's, I mean, do you know what Kimi Raikkonen had achieved by his 7th year in Formula One? 15 race wins and a World Championship win in 2007. Yeah, that's what Kimi Raikkonen had managed to achieve by his 7th year in Formula One. Lance Stroll in 7 years of Formula One has achieved just 3 podiums. Granted, he's only ever driven a Williams, a Racing Point, and an Aston Martin. Of course, none of which are what you would call championship contending cars, but I mean, come on, Lance. I mean, when you compare to what Sergio Perez and Vettel and Alonso have achieved in the cars he's driven, it's just not good enough. I mean, you know, Perez picked up a race win. I mean, Lance Stroll arguably could have had at least 3 race victories in, what was it, 2020 with the pink Mercedes, and blew all of them. I mean, you know, Alonso has picked up many podiums at Aston Martin. Vettel took second podium at 2021 Baku and should have taken a podium at Hungary if it wasn't for disqualification. And yeah, I mean, of course, you know, Stroll has had flashes of talent, but you know, like, I just feel like I'm just talking in the same nonsense. It's just really boring. It wasn't Canada, by the way. That was actually 2017 Baku when Bottas passed him on the line for second place. But to be fair, though, Lance Stroll was just a rookie. I think I've talked on long enough now. I've been talking for like nearly 30 minutes. I don't really tend to talk for this long. Thank you so much for joining. It means a lot. I think at one point I had about 6 viewers watching. Was it now roughly 5 o'clock in the afternoon British time? Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and I will see you again next time.